College basketball fans, listen up, because today's slate is exactly the kind of schedule that reminds you why Saturdays in December hit completely different. The gyms are louder, the stakes feel heavier, and every possession becomes a measuring stick for who's built for March and who's just along for the ride. It's Saturday, December 6th, and the lineup in front of us is loaded with matchups that can swing narratives, expose weaknesses, and elevate contenders. So before we get into anything else, take a breath, settle in, and lock in, because today's breakdown is all about giving you the smartest, sharpest, clearest view of the edges that actually matter. And here on Beyond the Box Score, you know we don't do surface-level talk. We go deeper, we break it apart, and we read the game in a way that puts you ahead of the public mindset. Let's dive into the action. The first matchup on the board is an early noon tip, and it's one of the headliners of the entire day, Duke vs. Michigan State. We're looking at two proud programs with two completely different team identities, clashing in East Lansing in an environment that can swallow you whole if you're not ready. Duke arrives undefeated at 9-0, ranked 4th nationally, and Michigan State enters at 8-0, ranked 7th, holding a pristine 5-0 home record. Those numbers alone already tell you this is a premium matchup, but the deeper you go, the more you understand how razor-thin the margins are going to be in this battle. Under Tom Izzo, Michigan State has been absurd in December home games, 116 wins and just 16 losses. That isn't a stat, that's a statement, and Duke walking into that for their first true road game of the season adds an even bigger layer of intrigue. Duke, as always, is powered by high-end NBA caliber talent, and the centerpiece is the freshman phenom Cameron Boozer, who is already playing with a level of composure and dominance that most first-year players can't even fake. Averaging 23.5 points and just under 10 rebounds per game, he's been both a matchup nightmare and a stabilizing force. Duke isn't just leaning on Boozer's offensive firepower either. This team is defending at an elite level, giving up just 59.6 points per game, which ranks 4th in the nation. They're hitting 10 threes per game, and when they get rolling from deep, they can bury teams quickly. But as explosive as they are, they haven't faced a road environment like this yet, and that matters. Michigan State, on the other hand, is that classic Izzo team: veteran presence, physicality, structure, discipline, and toughness rooted in experience. Jackson Kohler and Jeremy Fears Jr. anchor the group, and they bring an element that Duke hasn't consistently seen yet: battle-tested continuity. Michigan State rebounds well, they defend well, and they run their system with confidence. Jeremy Fears Jr., in particular, has taken a massive leap this season, leading all of Division I with 9.4 assists per game while shooting efficiently and keeping defenses honest with 90% shooting from the free throw line. They're hitting 36% from the perimeter as a team, and the cohesion in the backcourt gives them tools to manage Duke's defensive pressure. The front court battle is going to be the biggest chess match of the game. Boozer may be the single most talented player on the floor, but Michigan State has multiple bigs they can rotate onto him. Kohler, shooting above 40% from 3 as a stretch big, forces Duke's bigs to defend on the perimeter, pulling rim protectors away from the basket. Cooper Carson provides traditional rim running, screening, and physical interior play. Together, the combination of size, strength, and mobility gives Michigan State more bodies to absorb Boozer's impact than most other teams have been able to muster this season. For Boozer, this is without question the toughest test of his young career. Michigan State's environment, their defensive discipline, their physicality, and their ability to control pace inside their home building all tilt small advantages in their favor. Duke's talent gives them a high ceiling, but Michigan State's experience, especially at home, gives them a stability advantage that can carry through extended stretches. In the backcourt, too, Michigan State holds a slight edge thanks to Fears, playmaking and the collective reliability of their guards. This is what makes the game a true coin flip. Duke can absolutely steal it if they catch fire from beyond the arc or if Boozer takes over like he has in so many games already. But in a tight environment, with Michigan State's physicality, home court edge, and veteran leadership, the lean slides slightly toward the Spartans. Both teams are elite defensively, both rebound well, both execute at a high level, and both can score in bunches when they get comfortable. But the comfort level leans toward the home team, especially in December under Izzo. What stands out even more than the side is the total at 138.5. Everyone expects a defensive slugfest, and yes, Michigan State's history suggests that possibility, especially with their style of play. Duke is coming off a 67-66 game against Florida, and Michigan State's identity naturally slows scores down. But both teams actually prefer to push the pace, thrive in transition, and operate more cleanly when they aren't stuck in half-court wrestling matches. The implied score of around 70-68 feels slightly too low considering the offensive talent on both sides, and unless both teams suddenly lock each other up for 40 minutes, there's room for this game to stretch into the low 140s. The lean is on the over 138.5, because both teams are capable of scoring efficiently enough to break through that number. The next matchup on the board also tips at noon, Dayton vs. Virginia. Dayton enters at 7-2, Virginia at 7-1. Both teams have signature wins, but the style clash is what makes this game compelling. The key storyline here is Dayton's defense against Virginia's offense, and frankly, the matchup doesn't favor Dayton. They've struggled badly guarding the perimeter, giving up 38% from three, ranking 338th nationally. That's nearly catastrophic when playing a Virginia team that is hitting 38% from deep, ranking 40th nationally, and scoring 87 points per game, which is 44th in the nation. This isn't the slow-paced, grind-it-out Virginia team of past seasons. They're shooting efficiently across the board, 54th nationally in both field goal percentage and effective field goal percentage, and they've been punishing teams by stretching the floor with confidence. Dayton's offense versus Virginia's defense doesn't offer much relief either. Dayton ranks 113th in offensive effective field goal percentage, scoring 80 points per game, but Virginia allows just 67 per game, good for 80th in the country. They hold opponents to 39% shooting overall and just 31% from three. Dayton isn't an elite three-point shooting team to begin with, so facing a defense that pressures the arc and closes out aggressively becomes a major issue. Add to that the fact that Dayton is on the road, and the matchup becomes even tougher. Virginia minus 5.5 makes sense, and that's where the lean lies. At 2:15 p.m., Louisville meets Indiana in a matchup that blends offensive explosiveness and defensive toughness. Louisville, ranked 6th at 7-1, goes up against the 22nd ranked Hoosiers, also 7-1. This is technically a neutral site game, but it's played in Indianapolis at the Pacers Arena, which essentially makes it a home game for Indiana. That matters, especially when evaluating crowd energy and home court composure. Louisville brings one of the most explosive offenses in the country, 4th in KenPom offensive rating, scoring 94 points per game, taking 35 threes per game, the second most in the nation. They shoot the lights out behind Conwell and McNeely, with freshman Brown Jr. orchestrating as a gifted distributor. But that high-volume approach can be vulnerable when shots go cold, and we saw exactly that in their loss to Arkansas, where they shot just 8 for 37 from deep, 21%. Indiana's defense is holding opponents under 64 points per game, and their defensive identity is built around forcing tough, contested attempts, especially inside the arc. Indiana's forward Tucker Deere is going to be a huge factor. He leads the team in scoring, shoots 42% from deep, and stretches the floor in ways that compromise Louisville's interior defense. Louisville prefers to force turnovers, not defend elite high-volume scorers with floor spacing. Deere pulling bigs out of the lane opens scoring lanes and makes Indiana more dynamic offensively. Indiana is coming off a loss as well, and being so close to home with the chance to rebound against a high-profile opponent gives them strong motivational push. With Louisville prone to turnover stretches and perimeter volatility, Indiana's defense can create just enough disruption to edge out a close win. The final matchup is Tennessee versus Illinois. Illinois sits at 7-1, ranked 14th, while Tennessee is 7-2 and ranked 13th. For the third straight year, these two meet, and Tennessee has won both previous matchups, including a heartbreaking buzzer beater last season. Despite being a neutral site game in Nashville, this is effectively a Tennessee home game, and that matters because Illinois is 0-2 in neutral road environments this year. Illinois brings offensive firepower, elite rebounding at +1.4, third in the nation, and multiple players averaging double figures. Tennessee brings defense, disciplined, physical, structured, holding opponents to 70 points per game. The rebounding battle becomes the central storyline. Illinois dominates on the glass behind Mirovic, a double-double machine who thrives off second-chance scoring. Tennessee's freshman Nate Ament is their counterpiece, a strong interior presence who can rebound and score at all three levels. Illinois' losses came against the most physical teams they've played, Alabama and UConn. Tennessee brings that same physicality, along with strong defensive identity under Rick Barnes, who is 61-21 after a loss. The Volunteers rarely drop three straight, and with a Tennessee-leaning crowd behind them, they have the edge in a low-scoring, grind-heavy game. And that wraps the slate. These matchups are rich, competitive, and full of potential edges, and that's exactly the kind of breakdown we focus on here. If you're watching this on Beyond the Box Score, make sure you lock into the details, because the difference is always in the nuance, in understanding how styles collide, how environments shape outcomes, and how personnel matchups shift the momentum. Thanks for tapping in today. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit subscribe, lock in for tomorrow's slate, and stay tuned, because here, we don't just watch the game. We see the game differently. Hope you all cash big tonight, enjoy your Saturday, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for the next one.